brighten up those dark mornings. Wheeler, Ollie, and Lekter. Mornings at the Cabin.
Good morning, everybody. 1 minute past 7. Yeah, all right, Randy. Pipe down. I'm trying to talk. -4 outside. Relatively nice, by the standards of hurricanes. It's only gusting to 60 kilometers an hour outside. It's a little breezy still.
Halloween vibes still very strong outside.
Yep. Well, not only the Halloween vibes, the Christmas vibes are relatively strong outside. Mm-hmm. Is that City Hall we can see in the distance that's glowing purple and blue and white and green and orange?
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday. We got a message from someone who wanted us to, quote, give the city hell for their Christmas lights being on.
Well, and I dismissed that message out of hand because I was like, come on now, it's all right. I'm sure it's fine. Whatever they put up, I'm sure it's tasteful.
Yeah.
And then I looked out of our second floor windows over here on Franklin this morning, and just in the distance there is this very, very... what can I say? It's very primary colors.
Mm-hmm.
It's very... the word obnoxious springs to mind, but that seems harsh. It's a very insistent light show. Seems to be coming from over City Hall Way.
It's very... This was, pretty spectacular stuff in 1996.
It's October the 14th, It's October the 14th. Someone has gone early and gone quite hard.
Yeah.
And maybe I haven't appreciated the full show. I can only see what we can see through sort of the crack between buildings.
We could just say literally a top strip of light.
A top strip of lights that was just doing something.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm now inclined I might go and give the city hell.
Yeah. Those are the Christmas lights that Dad left up for 17 years.
Yeah.
Before it was finally time to come down and donate to the city of Yellowknife.
Yeah, it's October. What's going on? We'll have to go and find out.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast.
Mornings at the Cabin on your fine Wednesday morning. Ollie and Lekter with you. A little bit of Led Zepp there. Hey, what can I do? Barely connect to the internet is the answer to that question this morning, but we're soldiering on through here in Mornings at the Cabin. Studio 1. Lekter, good morning. How are you? Haven't asked that yet.
It's really cold.
I
broke out the parka.
Oh, you know what? So did I. Do you see it hanging up out there? I broke out a parka as well. I heard the wind outside this morning.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I don't care that it's not empirically that cold outside. It sounds awful.
Yeah.
And I've got no desire to be cold this morning, so I'm just going to wear the warmest clothes available and screw it. I'll just deal with the rest of the winter.
I refuse to be cold.
Yeah.
It is October 14th. I'm not going to layer up to go outside on October 14th when I can just wear what I would normally wear, throw a parka over top, maybe take a little bit of ridicule. I'm okay with that.
October the 14th does seem to be our hill to die on this morning for various causes. Christmas lights? No, it's October the 14th. Cold weather? No, it's October the 14th. It's October the 14th. Nothing bad happens on this day. Guys!
I mean, traditionally, has anything bad ever happened?
Has anything bad?
On October 14th?
Well, you know what? If we had a reasonable internet connection in this building, I would find out October the 14th in history. This is going to end badly. Mercifully, the internet is not loading this at any great speed because I'm sure some pretty terrible things happened on October the 14th. You know what? We'll come back to that. In the meantime, let's look at something good that happened on October the...
Oh, sorry. Just before we get started.
Yours loaded?
I could have guessed this. October 14th, 1938.
Oh, no. I mean, immediately you know that's...
Yeah. I mean, we could have assumed that guy did something stupid.
What was it?
It doesn't go into detail, but I just had a thing pop up that says Germany Nazis attacks clergy.
Great. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
fine.
Sounds about right.
Fine. Yeah, I'm looking at the same list you are now, and there's like Wales coal mine explosion, Australia ozone layer. Yeah, and it just goes ... You know that whatever happened to the Australian ozone layer in 1991, it clearly wasn't great.
United States incandescent light bulb, though.
Yeah,
I don't know what about it.
1879, it probably just blew up.
It
blew up in like Franklin's face or something, and embedded a shard of glass in his skull.
Trial 1 fails.
Yeah. October the 14th in history, generally pretty miserable. There's something here about a Zeppelin in 1928. I'm telling you right now, that story doesn't end well.
Yeah, that probably goes down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm just going to go back to what I was just going to go talk about there because it was going to be a sight happier than that.
Okay, let's
funny-looking vegetables, Lekter.
Oh, hey!
Funny-looking vegetables. Yeah, it's Harvest Fest on the weekend. Ecology North runs Harvest Fest every year. Normally it's just in Yellowknife. This year they had to move it online because, the whole year's gone to hell. But that meant that at least people from across the NWT could enter. And you have a whole bunch of different categories. So the categories are things like most unusual vegetable, funniest looking vegetable, prettiest flower bouquet, young harvester award for the kiddies, all this fun stuff. And the photos of these are on our website this morning. Megan Brackenbury has the story. The most unusual, the most uncommon category, received submissions ranging from a watermelon and quinoa to an artichoke. Someone grew quinoa, and there's a photo of it, and it looks great.
Huh.
It looks really weird. I mean, I guess it looks like quinoa when you look at it closely. It's just kind of weird to see it hanging out in Yellowknife. So congratulations to Claudia Bittner, who managed to get some quinoa going up here.
Someone grew a pineapple.
But someone, this is the one that won. So quinoa, get out of here.
Yeah.
David Gousseau from Yellowknife won most uncommon with a pineapple.
Wow.
Right?
Look at that thing.
It's pretty impressive to get that. Now, you can buy those at the co-op. There's like a section when you go in the co-op, and they've got like flowers, houseplants, things like that. I've seen a couple of pineapples hanging out. There is a part of me that looks at that and is like, now, David, did you just go in the co-op and then just keep that thing for a couple months and then wheel it back out to Ecology North and be like, ta-da!
No, he's got a plant pot in the background. He's got carpets.
I grew a pineapple. I'm like, you did you though, David? Did you?
I mean, it does kind of look like, it very much resembles a pineapple that was like, I'm not supposed to exist. Yeah. This is not normal.
It is quite a troubled looking pineapple. I will give you that.
But unique. Yeah.
That pineapple has complained vocally about its existence in the north, but it got there far enough to win that award. Someone else won a different category with bok choy that they grew from seed. That's very impressive. There's a rutabaga kicking around here that weighed 4.5 pounds.
That thing's huge.
It is ginormous. I love the fact that the person who grew it dressed up as it to collect the award. They are identical in color. That is hilarious. Excellent color coding. And there's all sorts of good things. So you know what? Yeah, all right. October the 14th in history may be a genuinely terrible day. But October the 14th here in Yellowknife is the day that we celebrated people with funny-looking veg.
Hugging carrots. Does it get any nicer than that?
Doesn't get any nicer than two carrots that intertwined themselves and won the funniest looking vegetable. If you'd like to laugh at a vegetable to start your day, head to cabinradio.ca.
Cabin Radio's morning show podcast. All the best chat, none of the embarrassing mistakes.
Sarah Sibley has come and sat down with an air of resignation. Morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
Morning. Fine job on the news this morning. Much appreciated by me, at least. Lekter, on the other hand. Lekter over there is looking up at me as though this is somehow a surprise. Don't look at me. You're the one who has written up on the great whiteboard of destiny this morning the name of Sarah Sibley. And then you've written a little arrow and then the words negative and minus.
Yeah.
Now, what's going on here?
And I don't mean that she's a negative person or a minus to everything we do here at the cabin. Perish the thought.
Good.
Although you have brought up, Sibs, that like you've been developing a reputation as a scrappy person here at the cabin.
Megan defined me as scrappy once, and I guess it kind of stuck. So here we are.
Oh, now that you say that out loud, I'm totally scrappy.
Right?
Yeah, scrappy.
But that's not what we're here to discuss. Yesterday, and I haven't actually heard one of your newscasts this morning, so I don't know if you've continued it, but I can only assume you have. I noticed yesterday morning in the weather forecast, when you were saying what the highs and lows were going to be, you said -3 instead of -3. And it just struck me as odd. Is this how you always talk about weather? Like, instead of, do you say +3 if it's like 3 degrees outside? No.
I've always said negative, though.
Negative?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Like, what's the weather out? Oh, -20. No,
Have you
-20?
Is that?
I don't know.
Was that like common in your household? Did you hear that elsewhere? Because I've never heard anyone say negative. I think you're the first person I've ever heard. Yeah, do a weather forecast like that.
Yeah. Wow. I'm really being put on the spot here.
This is great for me.
I'm just interested.
This is great for me. Normally, it's me that gets all the Canadians riled up with some sort of mispronunciation.
Yeah.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I got to the age of 28 and it had been below zero maybe twice in my life. I hadn't even figured out words for that other than, oh my God, I'm not going outside.
Right.
Which seemed perfectly understandable to everybody. I don't have a preference between minus or negative. I feel like I feel like I've always flipped between using minus and below. Like 10 below, 12 below.
Yeah.
I
mean,
15 below.
That's in its own field.
Yeah, like that's almost more slang than anything. Yeah.
Okay. That's just me trying to fit in.
Right. Yeah,
you know, trying to pass for one of the locals. What's the weather outside? Oh, it's 1 below. What? Why is everybody looking at me? Can we not say 1 below? Is that too few below to go below?
Did you ever say negative 2?
I don't. Sorry, Sibs. I don't think so.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Yikes. Yeah, I don't know. We listened to 680 News, and I'm pretty sure they said that.
Yeah, 680 News says it, Lekter.
Okay.
Huh?
Like that would be like when we were in the car, but I believe
they're like the third best talk radio station in that part of Ontario.
Why is it that an AM news station in literally every province in Canada is 680? They're all 680 on the dial. It's really strange. Anyway.
No, I'm pretty sure my mom used to say it growing up, though.
Really?
I can't recall being like, oh, it's minus 10. Like I definitely know, and I've definitely said it before, but like in my head, it's negative.
Right.
I don't know
Interesting.
why, but I definitely don't say like it's positive 10 out. Like that's just, oh, it's 10.
Well, it's kind of one of those strange things because like just taken at face value, if you saw, the number with, the negative sign in front of it, you would like normally if it was anything but weather, you would read it as negative. Blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to weather, I've never heard anyone say it like that. It's always been minus and sometimes like if it's kind of like close to 0, you'll hear like on the other end, you'll hear like a +2, +3 because it's still a novel thing that it's in the pluses again. Yeah. But normally it's just, 2 degrees or 3 degrees. But I've never heard on the other end of the spectrum, -2, -3 degrees.
Curious.
I was wondering if this was like another generational gap thing where like, maybe you didn't like grow up watching TV weather forecasts or even listening to radio weather forecasts.
We had Bob McIntyre and Perry, so
it's Bob's fault.
Him.
Bob, crazy cat Bob and his old -10.
There it is. We got our scapegoat.
Yep.
Come on, Bob.
No, it's the next generation of journalists you want to worry about. Well, it's -3 this morning. Some retraining required. All right, thank you, Sibs. It's Bob's fault, not yours. We'll keep you. It's all good. Okay, good. Another cabin radio performance assessment comes to a close. Mornings at the Cabin. News with Sarah Negative Sibley is next.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast. Hey, it was early. What do you want from us?
Is it Wednesday? Why is it that whenever anyone sits in this chair, days of the week, just as a concept, evaporate?
Well, short week this week, so you got an excuse. But yeah, it is just like kind of a dead zone over there for some reason.
We know it's October the 14th. We know that much.
Yeah.
Because we've established that this is a day on which we will die on a hill.
Mm-hmm.
No Christmas lights. It's October the 14th. No nothing. It's October the 14th. Except bad things may have happened in history. If you missed all that, listen to the podcast. It'll be fine. Welcome along, everybody. Now, I want to talk about something that has brought me great joy in this past week. Something that has revolutionized a good portion of my day. Something without which I now can no longer imagine really existing, to be honest. It is, of course, Jesse. No, it's not. It isn't. It's a weighted blanket. A weighted blanket. And
how are you liking that thing?
You've probably seen these things advertised on Facebook. Hush blankets, in particular.
Right.
A big old marketing campaign. You see them all over the place. And I fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. My old blanket that I'm a big fan of the blanket. Big fan of the blanket. Big fan of going and getting home, crawling onto the sofa, pulling a blanket up over yourself and putting some good TV on with a fire and a beverage in the evening.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Wouldn't be parted from it. But my old blanket getting a bit ratty. Thought about just sewing it back together, but then I was like, but what are the new blankets on the market?
Sewing it back together? What are you doing to this blanket?
Well, the trim on it is just coming off. It's just coming unspooled, unraveled.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I could just stitch that back together, but maybe I just haven't really fully explored what my blanket options are.
Right.
At which point, Hush Blankets read my mind, heard those words, and started throwing adverts on my Facebook every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And I invested in one. They're not cheap. They are not cheap at all. But it came, got it out of the box. First of all, I realize this is possibly somewhat predictable to a lot of you. It's a heavy blanket. That thing is heavy. I realized that in the title it says weighted blanket. I had figured like slightly heavier than the average blanket. That thing is heavy.
Right.
You get that, like, that's a 15-pound blanket, and it immediately feels like it. It's heavier than I thought it would be. Got underneath it, fell asleep, woke up in 10 hours' time. Oh, my goodness, Lekter.
And this was at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I just slept for 19 hours. No, it was crazy. How nice that blanket is. I haven't taken it off the bed since. It was supposed to be for me to be on the sofa and just watch TV underneath.
Right.
It has immediately been installed on the bed.
On the bed.
So I am now under a sheet, a duvet, and then the weighted blanket above that, just hugging everything. Wow. And then just get in. And the sleep I've been having has been amazing.
A top sheet, a duvet, and then a heavy weighted blanket on top. What temperature is it in your place?
Well, oddly enough, and I sleep very warm as well.
Okay.
You
wear full pajamas as well?
Temperature's been fine. No pajamas. But the temperature's been fine. I did have the window open one night, which helped.
Okay.
But not the last couple of nights, because the sound of the wind was far too terrifying to open a window.
Yep.
But still been absolutely fine. And you just wake up in the morning and it's still like holding you tight and just nuzzling you a little bit and saying, no, it's all right, Ollie, go back to sleep. And so I do.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's dangerous, though.
It is quite dangerous.
And you got to wake up early in the morning.
You
just don't want to.
There has been a lot of snooze button in my life this past week as well. You're like, I'm not getting up right now. This blanket is still into it.
I'm surprised it left the cabin, to be honest, because when it arrived and I walked in that afternoon, you had it on and you looked like you were just in the most comfortable state of anyone that I've ever seen. I gave a lift because I've never had a weighted blanket before. I've been intrigued for a while. I've heard really good things, like just getting a hug from a blanket. And who doesn't want a hug? You know?
Right.
At any
in
given
this time where we're so distanced from so many people.
That's right.
There are a lot of people for whom that blanket could be the only hug they're getting.
And maybe people don't want to hug you, quite frankly. And you know what? As is their want.
But the blanket has no choice. The blanket has no want.
No choice. And I gave it a little lift just on the end, just to test the weight out. And just like the one end of it, it had some heft to it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's literally like you just have a person just draped over top of you. And you couldn't have looked happier.
I mean, it's not just like that. It's quite close. But it's not just like that. I mean, that would be weird. I'm not sure how I would feel. Like, I do enjoy waking up with the weighted blanket in the morning. Waking up to find a stranger just draped over the top of me. I would find that less snuggly.
Yeah.
Less snuggly.
Unless that was their job.
If I knew who it was.
hired them for it.
Yeah, if I hired them for it, I suppose. I mean,
although now we're getting into dicey territory. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a whole lot of... What even do you put on the WSCC form for that? Yeah, we'll figure that out. And again, that just ain't COVID. But the blanket. I have become an evangelist. A blanket evangelist. I was around someone's house last night, waffling away about weighted blankets to anyone who would listen to me.
Yeah.
You know those intensely annoying pyramid schemes?
Yes.
That still people who you had such respect for insist on being part of for reasons that you cannot reconcile.
Yeah.
And you look at them and you think, but I know you. You're a perfectly normal human being. How has this occurred?
Always has something to do with the Dead Sea.
Yeah. Like, what has happened to you that makes you think it's okay to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel as though I have become a one-man hush blankets pyramid scheme. They didn't even ask me to be a part of this.
There is
nothing in it for me. No, I'm just talking about blankets to everyone I can see. As I have a weighted blanket and you must feel it. Yes, lift it slightly. Lift it slightly. What did you think? Was it heavier than you thought it was? Wasn't it? Yes, well, it's just, all right, Ollie, enough. But I do have to say, it has been the best week of sleep in a long, long time.
I'm really happy for you.
Thanks, bud.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
Mornings at the Cabin, welcome back one final time before the 90s at 9 comes and sweeps you away with its lilting, long-lost lullabies. Oh, I can't wait. I say lullabies, it's probably got to be like Beastie Boys first up now, or Rage Against the Machine, something like that. Any idea, like, any, like, embryonic plans for the 90s at 9 with, like, 15 minutes left to go before it's on the air?
It's not in the spirit of the 90s to have a plan.
Yes, of course. The 90s. I remember them. Well, anyway, before we get to the 1990s, let's just say a happy little goodbye to everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. Much appreciated. Are you still on turkey and leftovers over there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, that's going to carry us through the week. And if it doesn't, then, I mean, it means you didn't do Thanksgiving right.
Now, how many leftovers are. Because I know some people, like, I pretty much just got turkey and ham at this point.
Right.
And maybe a little bit of potato.
Yeah.
But anything healthy.
No stuffing.
No stuffing left. No, I think Megan Brackenbury went home with her stuffing.
Ah, okay.
Which I was quite disappointed by.
Selfish, but,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, we should get her in here and launch an inquisition about that. Now, poor Sarah Sibley's just started an Instagram poll to try and find out whether she's pronouncing the weather correctly. We've already destroyed one person.
I'm excited to hear those results, to be honest.
Well, I have too. So if you missed this earlier on, Sarah Sibley has been reading the weather using negative, where Lekter would say minus, which launched a minor inquiry this morning. Sarah has reported back since apparently there is a bit of a family split going on. Like parents seem to be negatives, but the sister is a minus, so to speak.
Interested to know how they vote.
Yeah. You seem to be drawing political comparisons over there.
It has to be related.
It'd be fascinating, wouldn't it? Try to suggest that all the conservatives are negative, Scott.
No, it could be, I don't know which is which, but, you know.
Okay, we'll find out. So there's an Instagram poll. If you look up Sarah Sibley on Instagram, you can have great fun messing with that. Introduce a third option to the poll. I don't know, whatever you want to do, really.
Just a yikes.
But we should definitely get Megan in here as well and inquire as to why the stuffing, and there must have been leftover stuffing, why that has been removed from the cabin fridge.
Yeah,
because that would have been a big addition. But I know that there are some people who seem to take quite a lot of effort in turning the leftovers into like nicer things after the fact.
Right.
Yeah, and they'll make like the sandwiches, that's one thing, but I've already seen evidence with my own eyes of people taking ingredients from the leftovers and then combining them with fresh stuff and making like brand new dishes out of it with new sides and things like that. And that to me is against the spirit of the leftover.
Oh.
Because if you're going to augment the leftover, then is it really truly a leftover anymore?
I mean, It's just taken on new life. That's all.
It's a life over? It's doing its life over. The leftover gets a life do-over.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess.
It was an integral piece of a full Thanksgiving dinner at one point. But if you were then to take that piece out of its element, put it with an incomplete dinner, well, you may as well repurpose that piece of the Thanksgiving dinner into a brand new dish that feels complete on its own.
You see, I'm a purist, and I just believe in the leftover as you know, it's sort of a sacrosanct thing in its own right. And if you're going to eat a meal of leftovers, then if you introduce new food into the leftovers, then it's not a leftover meal.
Right.
And now it's just a whole new thing where you've got some like zombie food creeping into it, but there's this brand new food that's scared of the zombie food, and it just doesn't go.
What about turkey soup? What are your feelings on that?
Yeah, because I suppose
classic.
No, that is a classic, and I can't argue with that. And in my head,
makes use of the carcass. You know,
when you say that, I think to myself, well, that's fine because you're just boiling everything down. But I suppose there probably are new ingredients in that, aren't there?
I mean,
you probably tossed a couple of onions in that.
You're cutting up some more celery.
Yeah, you see, but is it the same from the same batch of celery that you used to cook the original? In which case, is it left over from the original preparation?
If you have leftover celery, yeah.
This is the problem with the International Association of Leftovers and their rules, is that there's actually quite a lot to it when you start to look as to what qualifies as a leftover and what doesn't. And it starts to get very complicated. And I've for a long time now lobbied for a simplification of the rules.
Right.
But there are still some holdout nations. The Russians just don't want to hear it.
No, they never do.
No, they don't. Well, I mean, first of all, they never play by those rules at the same time. But it's funny how when the boot's on the other foot, they'll enforce them. I don't know. Where's this morning show going?
I thought you were going with...
Is it the 90s yet?
Boot like beet, yam type thing. Borscht. I don't know.
Borscht.
Figured maybe that was where you were going, but no.
I saw some borscht in the supermarket the other day, and it was really nicely packaged, and I almost bought it just on the strength of the fact that they put it in this nice little jar with a nice little lid on it and some elastic around it to keep the little lid on top.
Did they call it Boxo Borscht? Because that'd be pretty great.
They'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? I don't think they did.
Oh, well.
I think it had some nice Ukrainian name or something. No. I was kind of taken with it, but
didn't use some marketing help, but
didn't end up getting it because it was still borscht, and let's face it,
You don't like borscht?
5 out of 10 at best.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Needs a lot of pepper.
Yeah, like
to make it anything.
You always have to like adulterate it somehow to make it consumable. You got to throw some condiments at that thing. Right. Massive dollop of cream in the middle or something like that.
What about turkey? Just turkey sandwiches. Now you are technically taking that turkey and perhaps repurposing it with a few different wrinkles in there. Specifically, I
don't want wrinkles in my turkey sandwich. How old was this bird?
I mean, it's only getting wrinklier as it
well,
longer
that's
stays
true.
in the
No,
fridge.
that's true.
But more specifically, perhaps a gravy-soaked piece of bread in the middle, which we like to refer to, of course, because of Friends, as a moist maker.
The 90s. Here it is. It's arriving, everyone. It's arriving. The moist maker. Very good. Very good. There's a phrase that I didn't think would be on Mornings at the Cabin in any broadcastable format.
I finally found a way.
Oh, well done. Well done. No, you're right. And the sandwich I will allow. I think it's important that sandwiches be allowed for leftovers.
Yeah.
I think that bread is allowed to enter the equation, but I just don't know. I'm a purist otherwise. Listen, on the subject of the moment you said moist maker, I was like, yep, this show's run its course.
Yeah.
And I feel like the need to depart this seat.
I'm just glad you caught it and didn't throw my reference away.
And
you threw my reference away. My reference. All right, I'm done.
You done? You're done. Okay, good. This has been Mornings at the Cabin.
Thanks for listening. Check out more from the show at cabinradio.ca and by following the Mornings at the Cabin Facebook page.